Hello and welcome to the Capa podcast. My name's Matt. I'm the senior practitioner for Capa First Response, and I'm joined today, as ever, by our founder and CEO, Jane Griffiths. Hi, Jane. How you doing?
Hey, Matt. How you doing? So lovely to be here with you.
With me.
Face to face.
I know.
In your lovely flat. Sunny.
It's a rare treat, isn't it?
Fantastic. You know what? It is a rare treat.
Yeah.
I think it's so lovely to be together to record this.
Yeah, I agree. It already feels a lot more real.
Yeah.
Better. Yeah. So this series is going to be slightly different to what we've done previously, isn't it? Do you want to say a little bit about why we're doing this series to begin with?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess our previous series that we've thought about, we've sort of been in conversation with, or we've been Zooming and speaking to particular people about particular issues. This one is really designed for families who feel a bit more isolated, whether that be via location or through circumstances and their experience, feel like they're unable to talk to people. And we wanted to provide something that families could access 24/7, regardless of their locations. I also think it's really important to say that East Sussex Local Authority sort of really commissioned us to do this because they really wanted to support families living in those rural outlying areas who found it really, really difficult to get support. And we'll be offering I guess if we were to sit, Matt, and think about what would be our top 5 or 6 strategies, we're sort of aiming to sort of think about those strategies for families, aren't we? That's what the series is going to be about. Yeah,
so it's a little bit more. It's going to be a little bit. I mean, I think hopefully all of our podcasts have been useful, but this is something a bit more tangible, a bit more solid that people can use and put into practice.
Yeah, we're not thinking about, these episodes aren't for about us understanding what this issue is. This is really, let's go, what's the support that we offer to families? And let's share that. Yeah.
I think you said a minute ago that these are like probably 5 or 6 of our top strategies that we know are useful to quite a few different families that we work with. But it's always really important to say that nothing works all of the time. And there isn't one thing that is going to work for every single family. And even if it works for that family, it doesn't mean that it's going to work 100% of the time. So it's just important that we say that at the top, I think, to say these are all ideas that, have a listen, keep it in mind. Hopefully you think, I'm going to give that a try. But even if you think, it's not going to work for me, that doesn't feel quite right, hopefully you'll still think about the idea behind it. And even if you don't action anything from it, you can think about why it might be useful and why it might be important. And hopefully there's some use in that as well.
Yeah, and I think, a reminder that all of our work and all of our support to families is tailored and bespoke. We speak to families and think, what's happening for them in their home? And we can, it could be that we don't talk about any of these strategies, but generally what we've found out is these strategies come into our support at some point for families. And there will be somebody out there listening to this and maybe think, I can't get on board with what Matt, I can't get on board with what that strategy that you've spoken about, but I can really get on board with this other strategy. And we anticipate that and expect that. I think what's important as well is that, everything we're going to be sharing in this series, it's not going to do any harm. It's all relationship building. And that's only a positive thing. You may see things, and we'll talk about that in one of the episodes that we're going to be presenting about, what can happen if actually things do feel different. My child has noticed something's different. What do I do then? So, and we'll sort of address that, won't we? I think it's episode 2 when we're thinking about our safety planning.
Okay. So that's a little bit about why we're doing it. And some of the things we're going to be covering, but it's going to look a little bit different from our other podcasts, right?
Yep. Yeah. So, up until now, it's been us chatting, hasn't it? And having conversations. What we've decided to do with this, which will look a little bit different, is at the beginning of every episode, we'll have a little explanation around what we're doing. This isn't about explaining why this happens, because we've done that. This is about sharing those strategies, how we would share them with a family. So we're doing it separately. So I'm going to be presenting 3 of them and thinking about 3 strategies, and you're going to be presenting 3 of them and support 3 strategies.
Yeah.
But we're doing them solo, so they won't have that opportunity of a back and forth. And I think that's going to be the main difference that people will see.
Yeah, and I think that's hopefully will make it a little bit more useful, because you can follow along. You're not listening to a conversation, like you're saying, of us back and forth. You're listening to us giving you a strategy as we would, in a session. Yeah. If, as we were explaining it to you and kind of telling you why we're suggesting you do this, what the background is to it. Is there anything else we've missed, Jane?
I don't think we have. Hopefully we can just, let's do it. Let's give it a go.
All right, let's get into
it.
Okay, so Jane, for this episode, we're going to be talking a bit more about, we'll be talking about safety planning. Why is this important?
Listen, safety planning is really helpful for any family that we're supporting, because, a child who is dysregulating or using aggressive and or harmful behaviours in the home towards a parent, they've created a narrative, and that narrative keeps them safe. And the moment we make some tweaks to changing your responses towards your child, that narrative's going to be wobbled, and that narrative's going to feel threatened. And we can't predict what can happen for that. So I think it's really important for us to consider safety planning, which we know can feel a bit scary. But we'll kind of talk through that a little bit, and what that looks like and when it can be really helpful.
Yeah. And this isn't like an exhaustive list, isn't it? When we come talking about safety planning, it's things to keep in mind, but it's, yeah. Okay. So should we get into it?
Yeah. Okay. I am here to introduce the idea of safety planning today. Why is safety planning important? Why is it helpful? Why do we do this for families? Well, it can feel really daunting, firstly, to think about needing a safety plan in your home, which should feel like a safe space for you and everybody that lives there. And safety plans can feel a little bit, gosh, that's really serious. But safety plan is really, really helpful when you're feeling maybe you're really dysregulated and not sure what to do or what to go, what am I going to put into place because you're not thinking. A safety plan can just help you think about, what do I do in the moment? What's the most important thing? A safety plan should be unique to every family. It should be done in collaboration with somebody. It's really helpful if you're going to do a safety plan to visualize it, draw it, put it down, and maybe get somebody else to look at it, have a second opinion. What does that look like for you? This safety plan that we're going to look at today and consider, it's not exhaustive. It's a starting point. We're going to talk about some basics to put on your safety plan, to think about. And not everybody is going to need a safety plan, but it can reassure you. It can make you feel a bit safer. And that is what their safety plan is really all about, making you feel safer. So as I say, safety plans individual to each family in each situation should be used and maintained. Don't do a safety plan, leave it in your bottom drawer and never come back to it. Sometimes having a safety plan, having it somewhere visual can be really, really helpful. So I recommend, I've just got an A4 piece of paper here and a pen, and I'm just going to draw out. For me, what I like to draw out is like the outline of a house, because it reminds me, this is my home, this is the place I'm keeping safe. And we're not only talking about physical safety, we've also got to consider our emotional safety and how we're feeling emotionally, and what that looks like. So let's start with those sort of basic starting points of what's in your safety plan. So this is dependent on the age of your child and the behaviour that's happening in the home, and how do you feel? So that's my starting point. Now, for some parents, I might talk about a bottom line. What's the thing that you can no longer tolerate? What's the thing that's the hardest thing for you to manage? And actually, you just don't want that to happen anymore. For some parents, they've said to us, I just don't want to be hit anymore. I can't be hit. For other parents, it can be, I can't be threatened. It's setting up what your bottom line is. Again, you don't have to have a bottom line. This is just a starting point. But let's say, for an example, your bottom line is no violence in the home towards me. You can put into your safety plan, no violence, maybe draw a line. And if that line is broken, what are you going to do? It's thinking about it in those real practical terms. When somebody is dysregulating, when your child is dysregulating, they're not going to feel safe. And if you're not safe, they're not going to. If they don't feel safe, you're not going to feel safe. And potentially other people in the house won't feel safe. So we can think of some really practical things to put in our safety plan. It could be, if my child is dysregulating and I cannot talk to them, I cannot, it's not okay for me to approach them, be close to them. What am I going to think about doing? Well, firstly, the practical things I want to do is, I know my other children can feel really unsafe by this. So I'm going to make sure that they go into a safe space. If they're old enough, if it's appropriate, it's suggesting to the child, it's time to go up to your bedroom. So you're keeping practically everybody safe. If your child is a teenager and they're bigger and they're stronger and you feel in fear or frightened of what they may do to you, it could be a really good idea that you go into a space and close the door. For some young people, that can be like red rag to a bull. So it's knowing, for you, it's knowing what your child is likely to do. And is it okay for me to go to a room and feel safe? Do you have somebody in your network? Networks are really, really important. Who in your safety plan are you going to indicate on your network of people to call or to lean on or get support from if things escalate and things become really fearful in the home? Now, for some people, that can be a neighbour. Some people, that can be another family member. If there's two adults in the home, one adult could potentially be staying with the child. And who's identified to stay with the child if they're dysregulating? Is that going to be you or the other adult in the home? Then the other adult who isn't with the child maybe is making sure the other children are safe. If you're by yourself and your child dysregulates and it feels really unsafe, who else is in your network? Aunts, uncles, friends, neighbour, somebody you can call regardless of the day or night. Now, for some people, that's just not an option, not available. So who else could you call? And we often talk about the police. How do the police help us in these situations? And would the police be somebody I would call? I think it's important to say that the police are there to keep us safe, but it can feel really daunting. And for some parents, calling the police is not an option. For some parents, they're really scared around criminalising their child. We totally get that. And this is not the option for everybody. But if you were to call the police, what could that look like? What we do recommend to begin with is calling the police when things aren't escalating, when nobody is in fear, having a conversation with them, talking to them about your child is using behaviours in the home that sometimes can feel really scary, and you are potentially putting some things into place that might escalate what's happening. But what you're trying to do is have a relationship with your child that isn't based around violence or harmful behaviours. But in order to get to that point, you might put a couple of steps in place that may escalate things, and it's unpredictable. So you just want that to be referenced, really. You're not looking to criminalise your child, but you'd like a reference number if that's available. So if you do have to call, you will only be calling if things are really difficult. If you do have to call, there's a number you can call and somebody will know what is happening. That can be a really good starting point. It's also being clear, listen, the police find this really difficult to walk into too. Depending on where you're located, up and down the country, it can be really, the experience you get from the police can differ. So I think one of the things for us to consider is, what do you want from the police if you do call them? And it's being really clear that you're not looking the police to come in and parent your child. You're not looking them to come in and sort of, right, okay, come on, let's break this up. Let's sit down and talk about this. You're actually, by having somebody else come into your home, whether it be the police or a neighbour or a friend, It's very much about stopping what's happening in that moment, because what often can happen is that thread is broken, that escalation is stopped by the presence of somebody else coming into the home. And it's working and collaborating with whoever is in your network, whether it be the police or whether it's not. But sometimes the police is necessary to keep you all safe. And sometimes having the police come in can also trigger the right services coming in to support you. And sometimes that's really, really necessary and really, really helpful. As scary as that may feel, I think by taking your own control and agency around that can help you feel that this is the right strategy to have. So I think it's important to have that on your safety plan, whether it's who's in your network, who can you call. Even if your child has said to you, if you call anybody, you know what's going to happen. And that's a reality, and that can happen. It's what are you going to do in that situation with that threat and that intimidation? So part of your safety plan is thinking about what happens in that situation. Who am I going to call? What's going to happen? So we have got a safe place potentially to be in the home on your safety plan. We're starting to think about the network of people around us being on our safety plan as really key things to consider and start thinking about. What are you doing in yourself? What's your reminder to yourself? What could be, so let's think about that emotional safety. You know, when things are escalating around you, you are likely to be escalating with it because you're going to become hypersensitive, your arousal system's going to be triggered, and you're possibly going to meet the child at that space. So your safety plan can also include what are the things you need to think about on an emotional level. Now, as we go through the episodes, Matt and I are going to be talking about what's going on internally for us. So filling in the safety plan could come after we've thought about what's going on for us emotionally. But what do you need? What do you need on your safety plan? Okay, is it a reminder I need to just take a deep breath? I need to ground myself. Is it a reminder that what my child is doing is not okay, but this is the approach I need to have towards what's happening? Do you put a little reminder on your safety plan? So your safety plan is for you. Your safety plan is devised to help you in that moment, which is why I think having a safety plan somewhere visual can be really, really helpful, whether it's in your kitchen, maybe inside a cupboard, maybe it is in your bedroom, somewhere you can easily access it. Is it a safety plan you want to share with the rest of your family? Do you sit down with your other children potentially in an age-appropriate way? Obviously, it would depend on the age of the child. And share, listen, when things become a bit scary at home or when something happens, I want us to consider this safety plan. It could be talking to your other children about what would make them feel safe. Where would they like to go? How would they like to feel? So they feel included, because it's really scary for everybody in the home. It could even be that when the child who is using aggressive or harmful behaviours towards you, when they are calm and regulated, it could possibly be even including them in the safety plan. What do they need? When they are dysregulating, or when they are sort of feeling like they're going to dysregulate, what do they need? Because they very well, and often children will tell you what they need. Stay away from me, leave me alone. I just want to go to my bedroom and leave me alone. Don't follow me around. I've had so many parents who have said to me, their children have said not to follow them, to leave them. It's like, well, listen to that. Listen to what your child is saying to you, because they know what they may need. At the time of dysregulation, it's not the time for you to go and say, you've got to remember to do this. It's part of your safety plan. But it's a reminder of what we're all suggesting we need. And when you're hypervigilant and hyper-aroused, sometimes you may forget what's on your safety plan, which is why it's a good thing to do it in a calm space. Now, listen, there's so many things we can cover in a safety plan. All of what we speak about is tailored and bespoke to you. It's about, I think, being mindful of sitting down and thinking in the moment, what would I like to be on a safety plan? This isn't a plan for every family. You may be, I can't do that. I don't want to go to that place and think of a safety plan. Totally get that. But for some families, it can be really, really helpful. Remember, we're changing a child's narrative. Your child who is using this behaviour has created a narrative that keeps them emotionally and physically safe. And what we're looking at in these episodes is putting in some minor tweaks that's going to change your child's narrative. Now, we don't know. That can be unpredictable. So we just want to make sure you're being mindful, thinking about, okay, if things start escalating, oh, yeah, Jane and Matt spoke about this. What do I want in my safety plan to help me? What do I feel is going to help me? So we're going to do we're going to put a little picture up at that to help you, to give you some ideas of what that can look like. So have a look at that, see what your thoughts are. Print off your own one. We can always send you a safety plan, a blank safety plan that you can use as a starting point. If it's helpful, certainly email us and ask us for one of those. Speak to your friends. If you're working with a professional, talk to them about, what does a safety plan look like? What does it mean to you? What can I put on there? It's got to be achievable. It's got to be simple. And it's got to be realistic. They're the three things I would say about your safety plan. Keeping them achievable, realistic and clear. There's no point in trying to complicate it and have lots of different visuals on your safety plan that make it feel like, oh, what did I say? What was I going to do with my safety plan? And try to keep it as simple as possible. Because when things are difficult, you want things to be simple. It could be that you've got 3 or 4 numbers on your safety plan, so they're really there and accessible. Right, yes, Jim said I could call him. I'm going to phone Jim. Or no, I absolutely cannot phone anybody. I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I have no community around me. So I'm going to call the police, or maybe somebody else in your community if that's available. And if not, how are you going to keep yourself safe in home when potentially it's just you and your child? What are the things that you can do? And that can be where the emotional safety plan comes into place. I hope that's really helpful. It's trying to simplify something that can feel really complicated and really triggering for lots of people. But that's a sort of little overview, really, of what I mean when I talk about safety planning with parents. But please take what you can from it. Please keep it simple. And please do get in touch with us if you want to explore this a little bit further, or you want a copy of a safety plan just to get you started. Okay, I'll see you in the next episode.